Hey all, so this is the last war of the season, and this one's probably going to be a bit longer because we're going to go through the fights, I'm going to talk about them, and then I'm going to get a little more real at the end. So stick around for that, or don't. That's totally up to you, but I won't talk about it more until then. Anyway, we start out with this Hulkling, same as I've taken before. Do not need to burn a House of X charge here because he's stronger when I actually use him later if I don't use that here. It does mean that I am going to strategically plan my parries to try and make sure I don't take too much block damage so that I can make sure the passive Fury is up when I throw my special 3 for maximum damage. But this is a very simple fight, and we're just benefiting a ton from Mystic Dispersion. Now, as I've mentioned before, it's extremely important to remember that Hulkling is immune to Power Steal, so you cannot Doom Cycle. If you try and you send him red, you are just signing yourself up for eating a special 3 to the face. Notice right there that was 2 light attacks. His power did not go down. It went up because he converted buffs. So you have to be very, very careful with Hulkling. But while your aura is up, you can nullify those regen buffs through block, and that can get you back to your special 3 that much faster. This fight is extremely safe, and you can see that I am doing it much more efficiently than the last time I did it, let alone the first time I did it. This, in my opinion, really is the way to go. I did not mean to block that one, so the unblockable buff showing up here was definitely not intended, but he is down to only 1 Pierce buff here, so as we get closer to our special 3 again, it's going to be fairly easy to block. We're just going to bait out this special right here. Now, we know the special 3 would have killed him even if we hadn't baited that special 2, but that's just, in my opinion, not the way to do it. Play a little safer, bait out the special, finish it off, and move on. You're going to see me cutting the video in a number of places here. I'll be honest, this was actually my dad's birthday the night when I was doing a lot of these, and we were kind of coordinating some other things through some of these early fights. So then we move on to this Nick. Again, when I've taken a few times, I have the power backs on. We're heading in with Magneto House of X. And the goal is just to do big ol' specials and take him down. It's possible to play this a few different ways. The powerbacks really are important just for lining yourself up for the second life. They don't really matter for the first, in my opinion. He's not going to gain that many charges. I'm not really worried about him going unblockable. So the whole first life, you definitely don't need to be boosted this way. And if you're very patient in the second, you honestly don't even need it there. As long as you are comfortable punishing both of his specials, which does require the game to actually let you to dex out of the special one when you try to, but that's okay. Stuff happens. But it is just going to make things that much easier. I'm waiting a little bit, but I go ahead and I throw the special 3 here because I want credit for how much damage it does with the Fury up. That's going to give me more power back than if protection was up. Now, Nick does decide to be a little bit rude somewhere in here. I forget exactly what happens, but I remember this fight not going as cleanly as last time. Let's see. I mean, him throwing this is not the end of the world, but because... Oh, that's what happened. Yeah, I think I didn't dex out of it quite the way that I wanted, and so I got parried. Obviously not ideal. And then I'm sure that I meant to sidestep into that special 2 there. Watching it, that's what I want myself to do. It must have just read my dashback as dropping block, which is obviously not what I want. But yeah, thankfully we had enough power that after that, we were able to throw this. First one was on me, I got parried. I should have recognized that I didn't dex out of the end of it and just not gone in. Second one feels like inputs even watching it back, but definitely not the cleanest that is gone. But that's why we have power backs, because like I said, you can definitely do that fight without them, but man, having them just makes things simpler in the event Nick and or the game decides to be rude, as we just proved there. So, heading in for Chavez, absolutely on brand that she starts the fight with a heavy before I can do anything else. Ah, gotta love her. But that's why we have the pre-fight. And we were also, I have fought her enough that I was ready to retaliate immediately, right? That's why she has the orange dimension here instead of the purple one. That's important because if the purple one is up, and then she reduces my ability power rate, which affects power backs and also affects power steal. It also makes her special 2 unblockable, whereas the orange one only messes with my Furies, which is still annoying, but not a huge issue. Not sure what happened there with eating that special 1. I feel like that one was probably on me, although it's been a couple days. I really don't know. But we'll just heal up later. We go ahead and use this power steal here. Gonna stick to lights because I thought that would get me to my special 2, honestly. Miscalculation on my part. But the important thing there for me was just bringing her down off the special 2. I knew that she was starting to stack prowess. I did not want to deal with it, especially after getting tagged by the special 1. So yeah, that one went totally fine. I've done better, but I've probably also done worse. We move on to this Rintrah here. And this is an odd fight, because it certainly looks to me like I'm neutralized. And Rintrah is supposed to have a lower chance to neutralize non-cosmic opponents, but once it's on, it's supposed to reduce ability accuracy by 100%. It doesn't look like I'm failing any of these buffs. I have no idea what's going on in this fight. It also looks like our opponent placed their rank 4 Rintrah without any points in Mystic Dispersion, which is wild, but I am certainly not complaining. Anyway, we expected Mystic Dispersion, we expected the buffs to fail and for him to be gaining power like crazy. That is why we power started to make sure that we had multiple Petrifies up at once. This fight still would have been safe even if it had worked the way that I expected, but given the way that it did work, this was honestly kind of a joke. Rintrah is easier when you don't have to hit him a bunch of times and you can just knock him down a bunch. That plays naturally into Mr. Fantastic's playstyle. Super clean. Move on to Hyperion here. I've taken this with Doom before, but this time it is going to be a little bit easier because I have the full suite of Reed pre-fights on. The suppression one was actually a bit of an accident. I wouldn't recommend that for somebody else because it makes it that much harder to Doom cycle if that is what you are relying on. But at the same time, it shouldn't hurt us because there's going to be enough Mystic Dispersion in this fight that I am just not worried about needing to do the perfect Doom cycle. And the others just help us, right? Debuff Siphoner means that if we somehow get tagged, his Incinerates do less. It means our Incinerates do more. Petrify slows down not only his power gain, but also the return policy power gain when we nullify his buffs. Just makes everything that much easier. As you can see, the suppression isn't really hurting us, and the Petrify is helping a ton. Clearly a failed re-parry there. I don't know. Maybe that was on me. I'm not going to blame inputs there, but in classic Doom fashion, it just ended up getting me to my next special faster. And here we go. You can see I modify the Doom cycle a little bit, knowing the suppression is there. Still gets me to my special 1, then my special 2. 2 Furies up. Fight is beyond over. That was honestly pretty much perfect, and getting hit in the face almost made it better. So now we get to this last fight, Mangog on node 54. I have taken this fight so many times with Reed. I've taken this fight with rank disadvantages. I have taken this in the off-season literally completely unboosted. And basically, what you need to do is you need to get to your special 2, and you try and stack it once to get a few of your debuffs up. And then you assume that you have that you're probably going to need to throw a special 1 to control his unblockable. What you really do not want to happen is for your battery notification to come up after you've been streaming for 2 hours and you thought you had your iPad plugged in, but it had apparently become unplugged at the other end. So instead of being at 100%, you are below 10. That was a rough surprise. Additionally, not the first time I've eaten a special 2 here. Normally you evade at least part of it, but it's not the end of the world if you don't. But when I've eaten special 2s in the past, he's normally not that quick to immediately throw a special 1. Because one of the reasons that Reed can afford to tank multiple special 2s here is because of the careful study debuffs. And you kind of need those to stack. So every time he alternates specials, it's working against us. And I don't think I've ever had him, in the history of me taking this node literally dozens of times, alternate specials this perfectly. I was trying to get him to come in here, and then I was hoping to push him to the special 2 again. But nope, throws the special 1. I know I could have done this a little bit better. But yeah, we're not stacking those careful study debuffs. Now the next special 1 is going to have him go unblockable, which is why I was turtling, because I was trying to throw this to get the stagger up. That part does work. Alright, so you see him throw that. Now we get the stagger. Normally, by this point in the fight, we would have the careful study passive up, we would have extra power gain, and we would have been able to immediately stagger that as well. That did not happen. He pushes to the special 2 here. I probably could have turtled there and hit him one more time. I didn't. I was frazzled. I know that the battery notification hit me, and I died here for the first time in probably 7 months. I cost my battle group the donut. I cost myself a deathless season, what would have been my second deathless season in a row and my third of all time. I cost my battle group the all-time record for best season in SSx. Instead, we just tied an old BG3 record. And thankfully, I did not cost us the war. I did not cost us Masters Top 10. It was close, but it was not all on me. But as this war ended, I was worried that I had. And it destroyed me. Because I intellectually know that that fight would have gone a little bit better if I had Grey boosted. And I know that I should have. I also know that 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, even 99 times out of 100, I wouldn't have needed to, because that's how many times I've taken that fight, and the AI does not normally do that. I also know that I was frazzled by the battery surprise. I know that I was probably not entirely in my best headspace, because I had been drinking for my dad's birthday. We broke out a scotch that I'd gotten for him, and I was mostly sobered, but probably not entirely there. And I also know that I had seen I had 3 minutes left on my share, or on my my boosts for this, and I should have just reboosted, done something else, and made sure I was entirely in the right headspace. Those are the things that I tell other people to do all the time. I didn't do them. And even though I should not have died here, even though the AI decided to be the worst possible, I still fully blamed myself, and I felt like I had let the entire alliance down in an extremely dramatic way. And it weighed on me so heavily that I literally could not sleep that night. I went to bed and I just kind of sat there with a tightness in my chest for 2 hours. And that's what I want to talk about, because I didn't used to be this bad about this. This is not a reasonable way to react. It is very important, if you play this game at a high level, to care about the alliance, to care about not letting people down, to care about being a good team player and an asset. It is not healthy to react so strongly when you make a mistake that it disrupts your sleep schedule. And I had let myself get back there. I have known, like, I have never let myself not be an asset in an alliance at this level, honestly. I know that. I have usually been an officer. I've always helped other people through fights. I've always taken harder than average fights. Like, I know that I have contributed. But I had been playing cleaner lately. That's something that I still am proud of. I had never had a deathless season as of a year ago in my years in Masters. And now I have two, and I was this close to a third, including 2 in a row. Like, I have definitely gotten cleaner, even including this. And I had let that creep into my sense of self-worth too much. I had gotten away from, these are all the ways I help the group. These are all the ways I help the group succeed. And I had attached a bit too much of it to, I don't die. And it just, losing that hit me too hard. So I just wanted to talk about this because I think this is something you have to guard against. It's important to be an asset, but you have to not tie too much of who you are as a person, as a player, as a teammate to numbers like this. It's just not good for you. So hopefully this talk helps somebody else stop themselves short of doing that, or catch themselves doing it before they feel as bad as I did Monday night. Yeah. Because it's not good, and nobody should do that. The other thing I want to talk about is that if you do feel this way, if you feel like you shouldn't feel this way, but you just can't stop yourself, then you should do the other thing I did Monday night, which is that when I realized it was messing with my sleep, I picked up my phone and I scheduled a session with my therapist for later this week. I know this is not a cool thing to talk about, especially in gaming, but it's important. The same way that I think it is important to work out, to take care of yourself, to try to eat healthy, to try and make sure you stay hydrated, I do think mental health is an important part of maintenance. And clearly this is a way in which I had let mine slip. And so I'm going to talk about it with a professional who can help me work through these things in ways that I may not be able to on my own in short order. And I would recommend to anyone else going through this to do the same. I'm not going to talk about it here because this is not an endorsement, but if anybody wants to ask in the comments how to go about that, I'm happy to talk about it. But I think I've spent long enough on this right now. And I don't know, hopefully this was a helpful window into stress at this level. But I am going to head back to talking about the Alliance. So we got 11th, not 10th. We were there by 2 attack bonus. Tells you exactly that we just could have played better and gotten it. But that's honestly okay. Our goal has explicitly been Masters, and our goal has also been 6 or fewer deaths per war. And we hit that. We hit both of those goals, and we played extremely well as an alliance this season. We feel like we're going to be even stronger next season, so nothing to be upset about. So I will just go over these 2 class nexuses here. Notice that I make sure I'm not opening the Abyss ones. Nothing important here. SIGs on those 2 characters don't matter much. I take the new Nightcrawler. Maybe he'll get buffed at some point. He's not terrible in certain Battlegrounds metas. Moving right on. Not what I was hoping for, but sure. I'll take the Awakening on Symbiote Spider-Man. About as much hope of him getting buffed as OG Captain Marvel, so we'll just take the dupe. Nothing too important there. You can keep an eye out next week for when I open. I'm now up to 680,000 6-star shards. I'll probably have a bit more by the time I do that, but I am planning to live stream that opening, and I'm trying to get Absorbing Man. I'm trying to get a 6-star version of the champion I built on my actual account. So here's hoping. But I do just want to leave this on a good note and say, again, I am incredibly proud of the season that SSx had. We played really well as an alliance. It feels like a lot of things are slotting into a groove, and I'm looking forward to the next one. Until next time, thank you all for watching, and take care.